All right, we are live for an RTD Q&A. Excited to have a new friend of mine, Mr. Jose, who I follow and support on Patreon because he's a young man that's has an interesting story to tell, and he's a part of a whole nother way of life that we here in America, especially, would not be able to understand unless we actually hear it from someone firsthand. So I'm excited to have Jose on. He's a Venezuelan citizen that's no longer located in Venezuela due to all the situations happening there. And I came across Jose from an article he wrote on gun laws or lack thereof in Venezuela. So I thought I'll have him on the show. So Jose, welcome to RTD Q&A.
Thank you, and thanks to those fellows listening and watching this. Right, thank you for this opportunity. Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, so I appreciate you joining us. And so, as always, we were attempting to stream earlier on Instagram just because it's an easier setup, but due to just circumstances, wasn't able to do it. So here we are on YouTube. So I'm excited to basically, bring your story to the audience, as well as give a chance for those that's following us and watching to ask questions as well. And so, before we dive deep into everything, give us a little bit of your background and your experiences in life to this point, given the fact we have, you guys in Venezuela are already experiencing some tough times. Then you factor in this whole coronavirus and all this other stuff going on. So it's a unique situation. So I'm curious to get your take. So feel free to, give us a little insight as to who's Jose is.
Well, all right. I'm just your regular kind of guy. I hold an engineering degree. I was working in one of the largest company in Venezuela, like the mothers of all mothers, like a friend of mine used to say. And I was living the dream. I had my SUV, a good motorcycle. My family was well put together, and all of that is now gone. Okay, I had my own house in Venezuela. I had some achievements I could put together. Okay, but this crisis, which started after I would think that we started after Hugo Chavez died. All right, and things started to crumble and fall apart um, quite fastly.
Yeah.
Because already under his ruling, when the news of him getting sick spread out, well, the things started to go bad. Well, okay.
Yeah.
That was part of the story. So back in, until 12,000, we were more or so, okay? After Hugo died and all of what happened with factions of people fighting for the power.
Yeah.
The economy started to fall apart, and fall apart in the nastiest way, because I was able with just on salary, we had a good life. We could afford, little things like ice cream for the kids on Sundays and movies, pay for the air conditioning maintenance, and pay for the car maintenance, and all that little with just one salary.
Yeah.
That stopped of being like that in just a couple of years, maybe 3 years. Everything went south fast. What is worst is that I knew something like that could happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Back there in 2007, this is interesting, and I'm going to make a parenthesis here, because I was looking for my my financial independence and self-reliance, right?
Yeah.
And it's just what you talk about in your work, like in this media, right?
Yeah.
And that inherently led me to self-reliance and prepping and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You see?
So hold our thought 1 second. Actually, I'm going to put on the screen here for those because, as I mentioned before, for those tuning in, I came across you because you do a great job of writing and basically giving a painting a very detailed picture in words as to life in Venezuela. And so, actually, I'm a supporter of yours on Patreon, and I actually want to give people a chance to see what we're talking about here. Because let me see here. I'll put it up on the screen for a quick second and give people an idea as to what's going on here. Because once again, you contribute a lot of value frequently. So I want to. So here's fact-based prepping is your Patreon here, and so you do a great job of writing and stuff like that. So I have all that here. So you get into preparation. So a lot of people here in the U.S. really try to focus on prepping, but yet I believe your experience prepping is a lot different than what we have here in the U.S. type prepping. So continue on with the idea of prepping.
All right, we Venezuelans are really creative. Okay, because we face lots and lots of little problems and little issues day to day that maybe other countries don't have.
Right.
I mean, a guy in Germany, a guy in Japan, and is not going to face never the fact that you don't have cooking gas because they just turn the key on their stoves and they have the gas.
Right.
All right. I am. Well, I prepared for quite some time after my little kid was born in 2000, middle 2000s. Okay, and well, I just started small I built a support for a water tank. Okay, so my house in Venezuela is water trouble free for 1 month and a half for the four of us.
So for you, so are you saying water independent is one thing you focused on, where you collect rainwater?
Yeah, that was the plan.
Yeah.
In that moment, we didn't have any problem with the water on the water tap, so we just filled up the tank.
Don't fill it up, okay?
Yeah, and you have maybe there was a huge problem with the oil spilling. Which contaminated. Back in 2000, I was out of the country. I mean, everything added. I was studying English outside of the country in 2012, and my then wife was there with their little kid at home, and the water source was contaminated. The purification plant of the city was contaminated.
And so so is this in Caracas? What city or what area were you in at that point?
In an oil producing city in Maturin in the east of the country. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a really nice city. I love it. I love it a lot. It has been hard. It has been hit hard with the crisis. Okay? Because there is no oil production.
Yeah.
There's very little oil and gas production, and it was what kept the city alive. So, all right. Thanks to the proper selection of my house back then, when we bought the house, we didn't rely on the main water source. Of the plant of the city. We had our water comes from a little company, right? An independent well. They have 3 wells, and they have their own tank. They purify and send it to the pipes. So that's the water source we have, because we selected the house with a specific criteria. And furthermore, we have our own water storage for a few days. Okay? In the future, I hope the water collection system. That's not my only. That's not the only house. I have a mountain hutch, right? And I mean a hutch. Where that was our. It was like a holiday place. It's secluded. It's isolated. It's really peaceful. The weather is fair. It's absolutely good. Absolutely comfortable. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I that was one of my first preparations. Then I went with a gen set, right, a generator,
Mhm.
so we can run the freezers and fridge. It wasn't enough. I didn't have money for a big gen set, so we bought just a basic setup.
Yeah, yeah.
And well, I just, you know, we just adapt. I
Mhm.
bought this small. It's not an air conditioning. It's like a humidifier.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
but you can fill the humidifier with ice cubes and water, so
mhm.
you have cold air.
Yeah.
That part of Venezuela
Humid.
is quite hot, humid
Yeah.
and hot, and so you see, and we had the small baby, right?
Yeah.
And we wanted he to be comfortable and all, and we had to create. I had
Mhm.
to create and make up and put together
Yeah.
all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not exactly like the UA's prepper, but
Yeah.
it
So you,
was a preparation.
yeah, so you took practical measures on some basic things. It
Yeah,
looks like, as things got worse, and so I'm assuming, like, so now it's 2020, and so because right now you're currently not in Venezuela, you're in next, not too far away, another in a bordering country. But at what point did you leave Venezuela officially, and what was the environment like at the point you left Venezuela the last time?
yeah. It was a sad environment,
Hmm.
all right. When we realized that my salary was not going to be enough, so we already have our passports,
Hmm.
because I insisted in that.
Hmm.
Okay, I started to see the other experiences in other countries, like uh, I don't know. I didn't want to mention, but Cuba. So
Hmm.
it's the most regrettable example
Yeah.
I can find.
Yeah.
Right, when they began to impede the citizens to flee the country,
Hmm.
all right. And well, we fix our paperwork, all right. The environment those years was everyone living. The first one living out were professionals, right. Um, I had a good career. I didn't want to live out until it was it was a necessity, all
Hmm.
right.
Yeah.
Because sure, you could find food. Kid, you could find the food. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, it's
No
my
problem at
kiddo.
all.
It's my kiddo here. I am in a bedroom living with my kiddo. I
It's
don't
okay.
know.
We'll definitely touch. I want to touch on that as well because you have a unique experience now. So, yeah. So I think it's good for the audience to be able to hear what it's like to witness your country crumble, and you have nothing to do. So you feel like you got to make some moves. So you definitely did that. And I commend you for what you have done so far. So, but feel free to continue on. Sorry.
No, no. I was telling my kid, please don't talk because I am live. It was with you. All right, Mike. I'm sorry.
No problem. No
All
problem at
right.
all.
All right, Mike. Yes, we have. We just find that we couldn't leave because there was an entire food trafficking network.
Food trafficking network.
Yes, that was the killing event for me. I
Hmm.
mean, I was making some extra cash, okay, because I have always written outside, and I could afford some stuff that maybe other people couldn't.
Hmm.
Right, I collected a few dollars here, a few dollars there, making some translations, right, and writing some
Yeah.
articles here and there. Excuse me. And once I had money in my hand, but we couldn't find food at a decent price. But we have to go through connections and dark gray markets. So
Mm.
like it wasn't entirely black,
Yeah.
but it was a dark gray, very dark gray.
Dark
Ah
gray.
well, yes, and that was so sad because it was the uncertainty
Hmm.
of what was going to happen. I
Yeah.
mean, I had my kid was 7 years old, and what am I going to do when suddenly they decide there's no food?
Hmm.
And I had to make lines, row. It had to be 4 or 5 hours
Hmm.
to buy a package of pasta and a package of the cornmeal for our arepas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know. You were in Venezuela,
Yeah,
there.
so yeah, and that's the thing. Like as I mentioned, like I've always had a Venezuela's always had a place in my heart because I visited there, during Hugo Chavez era, and the country was beautiful. Fell in love with it, and just was, wish I could go back, but never was able to get back because when I attempted to go back, it just wasn't. Americans were not allowed in the country at that point. So unless you had a special purpose, and at that point I didn't have any reason. So, but yet, beautiful country, man. So I was real moved with what I experienced there, but.
Thank you.
So let's talk about I'm the Bolivar. The Bolivar has gone through several changes. I know they've come out with the Forte and all types of different rebranding of the Bolivar. And so walk us through the transition of your experiences with your savings and your daily life and how things got hard and I'm assuming you had retirement as well. I'm assuming you had that. Give us some insight as to what that looked like at that time.
Well, I'm not willing to make myself a victim, okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But the retirement plan of the company I was working for, the oil company, was one of the best of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wanted to work there because after 20 years of hard work,
Mm-hmm.
you were able to retire like you deserve. Uh, I worked there 14 years, and the day I received the equivalent of your 401k, my
401k.
my, 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 re, my retirement payment,
Mm-hmm.
I just well, I the hyperinflation ate all that, all that money. It wasn't too much. Lorek, please.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my
No
kiddo.
problem. No problem. Yeah, we're streaming live. It's all good. So the hyperinflation, said ate away all that, and so so good thing is you said you're not going to play the victim. So I like that because you're still making the things happen for you and your family. And so I'm definitely, as we're talking, I'm going to give the audience a chance to be a blessing to you as well. And so you're still doing your thing, but here in America, a lot of people don't think that you can lose your retirement because the dollar is so strong and the dollar is going to be the world reserve currency forever. And I don't necessarily believe that. And so I would imagine, confidence is lost when you see everything you've worked hard for disappear or hyperinflated away, of which something you've experienced. Give me your thoughts on how dollars are viewed in Venezuela. Like, are they, does that keep the economy going for most, or is it hard to find, or what?
The dollar is the currency
Mm-hmm.
running now in Venezuela,
Yeah.
right? And I have my own thoughts. We could go deep in that
Yeah.
later on,
Yeah.
because at this moment there is an entire chain of events. All right,
Mm-hmm.
with your warships in the Caribbean,
Mm-hmm.
looking out and scanning the the merchandise
Mm-hmm.
going out from the
Yeah.
Caribbean. All right, you get it, you get the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
All right, but this is delicate, and it deserves a special attention
Okay.
in the future. Okay, well, answering your question right away, uh, there are three main payment methods in Venezuela: dollar cash, cash dollars,
Mm-hmm.
uh, dollars again,
Mm-hmm.
through a variety of
Payment networks.
payment networks,
Yeah.
systems. I'm not going to mention it.
Yeah.
um, and the national currency, the Bolivar,
Mm-hmm.
but just electronic, because the paper is worthless. I mean,
Mm.
it's all right.
Yeah.
It's very hard. Most for the people of the lower classes that have been incredibly hard times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is going to be difficult to explain,
Mhm.
right? Because I have I have friends all over the country, and my cousins are in one side of the country. I just hope they watch this.
Mhm.
I love you people, and uh, I miss you too. And they have been struggling, but they have, thanks God, being able to come around, right? But
Mhm.
there are small pockets of relative normality
Mhm.
in in an ocean of not so normal
Yeah.
situations. You see,
Yeah.
well, those and this is something I would like to mention as well. Those who are getting it easier are those who own a small plot and can harvest some potatoes and some carrots,
Mhm.
some beans, have some chickens, right?
Yeah.
Our town, my people, my hometown is comes from a very rural background,
Mhm.
right? Until the huge industrialization process
Mhm.
that happened after the oil industry started to generate revenues, and those revenues were properly directed to the place where it was needed. All
Yeah.
right. Uh, we have a very rural lifestyle. You
Mhm.
see,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The migration from Europe was a need because there was not people in Venezuela enough left with the knowledge to build a wall or a house or okay,
Yeah.
because we were simple people, we were
Yeah.
farmers, we were cattle people. Okay,
Mhm. Yeah.
and we need all those uh, semi industrialized land hand labor, hand
Mhm.
laborers, all
Yeah.
right, with knowledge, special knowledge laborers.
Yeah.
And what was Venezuela in the 70s, in the 80s, maybe in the 90s, on early 2000s,
Mhm.
where you were there, I understand you. It was because of those migrants, uh, the contribution of those migrants,
Yeah.
all together with our own desire
Mhm.
to to prosperate. Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a sort of the part of the Venezuelan recent history.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. Now I'm curious. So we have a question here from somebody in the chat. So we are streaming live. So I have Jose from Fact Based Prepping joining us, and so he's a Venezuelan that's left the country due to the circumstances down there, and so he's a great writer. So that's why I support him, and I'm excited to have him on the channel here. So we have a question here from Miles. Miles, it says, "How would having gold, silver, cryptos help at that time, and how was the infrastructure?"
That's an excellent question. Uh, Crypto is going big in Venezuela. You know,
It says growing big.
it's going big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite the internet infrastructure is not as strong and reliable as in other countries, other places. All
Mhm.
right. There is an entire, I don't want to call it underground because, I mean, everyone knows who's get the cryptos and who doesn't. And,
Mhm.
there is some people that trades crypto, all
Yeah.
right, and makes good money.
Mhm.
You trade and you earn $100 in
Mhm.
Venezuela a week, and you're a wealthy guy.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, you can live, you can have a good life. All
Mhm.
right, cryptos are getting stronger. All right,
Mhm.
there was an official uh, cryptocurrency.
The
Is not
Petro.
really. Yeah, there's a joke.
Yeah.
I I I I'm not a crypto specialist,
Yeah.
but that's a joke,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you're going to support something digital with something 10,000 feet underground. Oh yeah, good luck.
So the cryptocurrency is growing there, and so I saw a recent article that I think they're Maduro is allowing an exchange, so they're trying to make it official there, and so I assume is that to help the people, or is that more so to help Maduro and the government get around sanctions so that they can do business with other countries? What do you think?
I don't think. I am sure.
Mhm.
I am sure there is an entire network,
Mhm.
okay, of people using the the electricity power grid problems
Mhm.
to divert some of the power for mining facilities.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
There are even testimonies all over the place about this, and yeah, I mean, you can use the cryptos to avoid sanctions and stuff. This is not it's not a joke. All right.
Yeah. Is there are you aware of any cryptos in particular? Because one of the questions it says, what cryptos are there? Just is there certain kinds that you're aware of, or there's anything?
No, the most stronger currencies, the most famous cryptos,
Hmm.
the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, the Litecoin, the Cardanos,
Hmm.
that sort of cryptos.
So the main ones, yeah.
Yeah, the main ones, and there is. I have known that the people have used it for to buy a car or sell a car or sell a property, even.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And these last few days, I am sure they're very happy.
Yeah. Now, well, how about gold and silver? Is that something that
Right.
are there gold? Were there coin shops throughout Venezuela where people can go actually buy, because I know the Bolivar the coins pre 60 whatever were silver as well. Is that something that people are familiar with or took advantage of?
Well, anything you can have that can be considered valuable,
Hmm.
all right, is currency.
Mm. Yeah.
Interesting. Because this happened in Argentina as well. I
Hmm.
have a very good friend, a dear friend of mine, and I love her a lot. She was in Argentina in the worst of the economic collapse there.
Hmm.
One of her neighbors committed suicide and everything. I mean, it's a tragedy. Uh, and she has quite good experiences
Hmm.
to to share as well. We have talked a lot.
Yeah.
We are far away. She's in Venezuela now, but we are in contact.
Yeah.
And she mentions that people broke their necklaces,
Necklaces. Yeah.
right? Yeah. Uh, Go and just to buy a bag of potatoes with a little
Little link.
uh, a link, yeah, a link
Or really?
with for example, and a truckload of food,
Hmm.
okay, and because the inflation was extreme. It was I believe it was one of the worst examples in the world.
Yeah.
Right? And
Wow.
we Venezuelans, like usual, we want to do it better. Yeah.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
sad, but maybe we're headed that way.
Yeah, and so let's talk about. So as always, for those tuning in, we're streaming live, so feel free to ask questions in the chat, and I'll definitely put them out there to you. And so let's talk a little bit about your perception of the U.S. Like right now, the U.S. is going through a political chaos, and so a lot of people feel that we could be heading towards a communist style approach, with one particular party. And so, what's your perception of the U.S. looking from the outside in?
Well, you know, I appreciate a lot the UAs. I've never been there.
Mhm.
Still, I hope so. Still
Yeah.
to go to visit. And interestingly, that was one of the questions, one of the points I want to talk about in my little script I have here.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, when everything began in Venezuela back in the 90s, middle 90s with after the cop detained, with Uncle Hugo went to jail and everything.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of fuss, no, people here and there talking, and one of the things that some people said, we can't allow to these communists, to these guys, to take over the country
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to destroy it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, the country was not exactly in good shape those years.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It was not all love and jokes.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to struggle. I was a young student, and we had to struggle a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we could find food, right? Maybe we didn't have a lot of money for a brand new cell phone every year, but we could sort things out,
Yeah.
right? We could start a business and prosperate,
Mm-hmm.
right? And one of the things that people say is, we are Venezuelans are not Cubans. Venezuela is not like Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people, I don't like this, but it's the same thing that some people in the US says, no, we are not Venezuelans. We are not like Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you
Yeah.
see the similarity of the
Yeah.
situation, and I don't like that. I mean, the US has always been an example for freedom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you have to take your personal responsibility. That's in that's everywhere in every country. But you have the freedom. You have the freedom of speech,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have basic liberties,
Yeah.
right? And that has to be defended.
Right. It has to be
Right.
defended. And so, okay, so yeah, so that's one of the things that, just having the right for free speech and gun ownership and property rights, and just, the Constitution itself is something that's under attack right now, ultimately. And so this presidential election, I think, will be a key defining of whether it's scrapped or rebranded, because everyone's trying. I mean, the goal. I'm assuming you're familiar with the Great Reset and how
Mhm.
there's individuals in Europe that's trying to incorporate all governments under one window. And in order to do that, you have to get rid of what has held them back, which is the Constitution to this point. And so I'm concerned with that as well moving forward. And so I know one of the things that I came across for you was an article on gun rights. And so how, I guess, I'm not sure how, but whenever a country give up their guns, that makes it a lot easier to remove those rights as well. Would you agree with that? And how did that occur in Venezuela, if it did?
Well, it was. I'm not really exactly familiar with guns, just because we did the we, as I mentioned, Venezuelans don't have the gun culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there was some fans here and there, and
Mm-hmm.
okay, but uh, there is a very it's an interesting question. I certainly have to be very careful responding that, because maybe in the future someone will will bring this to
Mm-hmm.
me. Okay.
Okay. No. So,
Uh,
so watch this. So just for that sake, there
yeah.
we can avoid that. So it's no problem.
No,
And,
it's okay. I can answer you, because
okay.
it's okay. I can answer it, huh? Because look, this was a slow process. All right.
Mhm.
Uh, we had we really had a real problem with illegal guns in Venezuela.
Mhm.
We were, as you know, Venezuela is bordered with Colombia. Colombia
Mhm.
has a huge problem with a civil war over 60 years, right?
Mhm.
And now that problem went through our borders, all right,
Mhm.
and and contaminated us. And back then, part of the problem, I'm talking about over 20 years ago.
Mhm.
Part of the problem were uh, kids like 14, 15 years old,
Yeah.
all right, killing people like in the Wild West,
Mm-hmm.
all right, thugs
Yeah.
with illegal guns. It was a huge problem. It was a huge mess, all
Mm-hmm.
right. Uh, they they tried to control that, all right, but they put the military in control of that stuff, all right,
Yeah. Yeah.
and well, it was not exactly the best course of action, all right,
Mm-hmm.
because well, things things went out of control for those in that government, all right, and military just just did what they seem logical. All right, the civilians don't need a gun. Why do you need a gun?
Mm-hmm.
You're a civilian. Why do you need a gun? Right?
Yeah.
But the thugs kept their guns.
Yeah.
The bad guys, they are they are who kept their guns, and they made. I investigated a little. I made a little research, and
Mm-hmm.
they made very hard for the civilians to get a gun, a permit gun.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
and they in total in the same year Hugo died, they forbidden the guns in civilian hands. That's it.
So what's the penalty? So if an innocent bystander is caught with a gun for protection purposes, what's the penalty? Is like harsh jail time or what type of
25
situation?
years.
How many?
25 years.
25 years?
Yep. No
Damn.
appeal. No appeal.
No appeal.
Yeah.
Ooh, so that right there. I mean,
If
damn.
that is and 25 years in a social expression. Okay. And well, I have so many things to comment that I'm not going to comment anything.
Fair enough.
All right.
We'll keep it moving, man. So I have a lot of questions, and so I saw a question here. It says, "Can you talk about relationship with Venezuela and Guyana? A lot of Venezuelans have been migrating to Guyana, and there have been some oil disputes."
Yeah, I don't know a little. I don't know too much about. I just know a little bit because migration to Guyana is many Venezuelans don't speak English.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's why they choose Colombia,
Mm-hmm.
where over 1 million migrants.
Mm-hmm.
Even Brazil, right? I think there is over 500,000, maybe more. Ecuador, Peru, like
Mm-hmm.
500,000
Yeah.
just in Peru. Ecuador, maybe 3,000, 4,000 K, and Argentina. Argentina and Chile, which economy has been running well.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Because, well, going back to Guyana, yes, Guyana has a dispute with Venezuela. It's a very old dispute. This is nothing new,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is part of the Venezuelan recent history. There is a demand in La Haya in the Hague Tribunal, okay, the Hague Court.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Spanish slipped that.
Okay.
There is a dispute in the Hague Court, International Court,
Mm-hmm.
because the Guyana is claiming rights over a territory that is and has been always since the conquering times from Venezuela. Is the Essequibo, all right?
Mm-hmm.
That is mostly the basis of the dispute. Hijo. Still, okay, stay still. Thanks. Sorry,
No problem.
it's my little cameraman here.
Yeah, we won't be much longer. So he.
Okay. All right. So that is what's happening, and of course in that territory there are strategic minerals, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is oil and gas as well.
Yeah.
That's the reason of the dispute, right? What happens with Guyana? Well, I believe that Guyana is going to is going to have to concede, because the last results of the analysis was that Venezuela has rights over the territory because it belongs to us. Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
All right.
that was the question.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, definitely. Yeah. No. And so another question is, it says, ask him what the 5 main things he wished he stocked up on when he had the chance.
Okay.
5 main things that you wish you would have been able to have in your possession, I guess, as all this has unfolded. What would you have done differently, looking back now or something like that?
Right. One is land.
Land?
Land. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Seeds.
Seeds? Okay.
Silver.
Silver.
Yeah. Silver.
Why silver?
Because it's easier to barter with than gold. All right.
Yeah.
The other one, some equipment, right? Like a freezer, tools, okay? And I believe the most important is some previous knowledge in some very, very basic stuff, like using what you know to be fuel self-reliant, fuel independence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Man.
I never guessed. I never imagined it in my wildest dreams, like people say, that we were going to have such a huge problem with the fuel. Right? We are paying $25 for a 20-liter gas jerry can, right? Back then, I would have liked to be able to predict these and get the knowledge I needed to change my car vehicle, my car engine for a diesel, and use the alternative fuels that are around there.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Because mobility is basic for business continuity. I am writing an article about business continuity. How you like it? Right?
Yeah.
And without mobility, without some land where you can just be there and grow your own food if you have to, right? If a very huge step in dealing with the storm. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's real.
Yeah. Don't rely on any water stream. I hardly suggest to collect water. I know there are some states in the UAs that are going after those who collect water, right? Beyond certain limits. Tags. Well, I don't like the measure, but anyways, it's their law, right? But I would be I would insist a lot on that.
Yeah.
I currently have another project that will allow to save a bunch of water, over the 80% of the water, in small plots. All right. We have in Venezuela a very strong rainy season, right? And a really hard non-rainy season, right?
Yeah.
And this is going to be a necessity, because no matter what the problems are there, I have a family situation that needs my attention. I will have to come back for some time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm preparing psychologically to
To
move
manage.
forward, to manage that and
Yeah.
move forward. And those articles, I think you're going to find them really interesting.
Yeah. Now, so we're about 45 minutes. So I got two primary questions. Then we'll dial
Sure.
back. And of course, I want to have you on in the future as well to keep an eye on and to help you as well any way I can. Governmental, Juan Guaido or Maduro. What do you think needs to occur to help Venezuela get back on its feet? Is it possible? Do you see it coming?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I totally see it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I believe now that Juan Guaido is not what we thought he was. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We are seeing some odd attitudes. He has been asked to be stronger, right? Uh, and he just hasn't responded the way people has been waiting. Lorek.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and that's disappointing. Okay, people
Yeah.
is disappointing. People is disappointed.
Yeah.
Right? They say some people say he received money. He received to dance with Maduro's orchestra. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't say
Yeah.
really. It's just repeating what I have read here and there. I have been more interested in some projects that are not so depending on those politicians.
Mm-hmm.
I keep an eye on the situation there, right? I keep an eye on their situation, and but I am focusing now in these projects because I am deeply convinced that it's going to be helpful for most people.
Mm-hmm.
The more articles I write, the more ideas I come with, all right, to help people, it's going to be better for them.
Yeah.
I right now I have this temp job. I have this temp job.
Yeah, I know. If he's holding with his arms probably getting heavy.
Lorek, stay still. Quédate quieto, hijo. Thank you.
So,
No, we have a weevil table here.
uh-huh.
One of those plastic garden tables.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, sorry. All right. We're answering a short question.
Mhm.
Guaido is not exactly doing what we want he does, what we want him to do.
Yeah.
All right. So he's just finishing his 2 years period.
Mhm.
Like as an interim president, and we are worse than in the beginning.
Yeah. So do you think, is Maduro, was he really elected, or was he placed there? Do the people really want him there, or are they for Maduro? Like in the Chavista movement, is that something? The revolution, is that still popular amongst Venezuelans?
I'm not being a smart cookie here with you,
Mhm.
right? But just check this out. These guys are elected because Smartmatic, the same company linked to the Chinese Communist Party and with
Mhm.
some strange branches here and there, are now involved in the strange situation with your elections of Joe Biden
Mhm.
up there in the US.
Yeah.
So looking back now, I can say, come on. So, I mean, I am now really Dobshius. You say
Notious?
Dobshius really? I am doubting.
Doubting. Okay.
I am doubting
Mhm.
right now that those elections have had are not rigged.
Mhm.
I mean, the economy has been the worst in years.
Mhm.
Hugo, good or bad, but the economy was under certain control.
Hmm.
He took the inflation from. I'm not defending him,
Hmm.
it's a fact. All right,
Yeah.
and I have been my entire life uh, trained
Hmm.
to analyze facts.
Yeah.
All right, because I win my bread with with
Hmm.
facts
Yeah.
and analysis and
Yeah.
evidence. Right, and the fact was they had the inflation under control for a certain time.
Hmm.
All right,
Yeah.
but I don't know. He got sick and everything just went downhill. All right.
Yeah.
So I have many reasons to believe to have reasonable doubts
Hmm.
on the non-existence of a fraud.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
sense? Yeah.
Yeah. So the existence of voter fraud in the elections with Maduro and all stuff like that.
There
Yeah.
is there are reasons. There are how you say there is the possibility.
Yeah.
There's a possibility. So I strongly believe that yes, maybe people got the wrong message on that.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, Jose, it has been great connecting with you. We're approaching that 50-minute point. So for everybody tuning in, I want to definitely, because I put your Patreon in the description. So if
Thank
anybody
you.
wants to be able to stay up to date with your writings, as I mentioned before, you do a great job writing. They can click the link below. And also, I noticed, do you try to do any video content on YouTube or anything like that?
Yes, I have a YouTube channel. All right, it's quite small. I post regularly some events and some stuff that is happening in Lima. I don't
Yeah.
know if you are being watching the news, the international news these last days, but what happened in the US, what happening in this turmoil with some people
Yeah.
up there
Yeah.
is the same pattern is repeating. The same pattern repeating in Chile 1 year ago, if you
The
remember.
pension. I saw the pension. They cut the pension 10% in Chile. Yeah. And they protesting. Yeah. So,
The it happened. It's going to happen in Argentina right now because the leftists have won the party. They
yeah.
have done the cheer,
Yeah.
and the same pattern. Well, that's one of the reasons I feel I feel the need to come back. Okay,
Mhm.
because maybe Venezuela is on their knees right now, but I have everything there. I have my family. I have the only family I have got here is my kiddo,
Mhm.
and the other guy, the older kiddo, he is already a dad and he has his own family of his
Yeah.
own,
Yeah.
and so well I have to take care of my old folks.
Yeah.
They are
Understandable.
yeah, they are really affected,
Yeah.
and they want to see their grandbaby.
Yeah.
Uh,
Understandable.
yeah, well, and
Okay.
that's
So
it.
go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought. Go ahead.
So,
No, no. So I was going to let you finish up your thoughts because somebody in the comment asked about your YouTube channel. What's the name of the YouTube channel? I'll pull it up real quick.
facts-based prepping.
All right. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick,
Uh-huh.
and I'll put a link. I'll put a link beneath this so people can see. All right. Let me see. Let me find a fact-based prepping. Let me see if I got it here. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Let me find it. All right, so let me see. I'm scrolling through. I will link it beneath this. I'll link it beneath here. But for those that are tuning in, you can I'll link it all beneath here. So if anybody wants to go check it out, feel free to do so. And other than that, Jose, it's been great connecting with you. Definitely, I encourage your viewers to support his work. He's doing a great job, and definitely, I think you'll be satisfied with the articles he writes. So I was very, very pleased to read it. So Jose, I would definitely love to have you on in the future because I'm curious to get your thoughts on, the next subject will probably be coronavirus and all that stuff there, how it's impacting. So we can touch on that further. But once again, thanks for joining me and look forward to continue to stay in touch with you, my friend.
Thanks, Mike, for your contact. Thanks for the audience. Love for all of you, right? And well, I will keep writing because I am certain my own experiences are going to be helpful for those of you.
Yeah.
Right. And well, I'm here for you. Right.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right. Hold on 1 second there. I'll sign off here. Everybody, hope you enjoyed this. Definitely share this information so people can find out what's going on outside of their own bubble, because everybody thinks their problems are just, here in the US, but yet it's things happening globally. So I think this interview definitely gives a good perspective as to what's happening outside the US and what could possibly happen here one day. So be best, be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.